Joseph Ford, and my presentation is on the standard issue weapon of the U.S. Army Infantry. It pertains to my interests as I want to go into the military and am just interested in the military period. In the early years of America, in 1775, when the U.S. Army was instated, they did not have a standard issue weapon. The basic weapon was, because it was the Revolution, they used whatever weapons they had, which were the muzzle loading flintlock muskets, which were a tube with a wooden stock that you would pour powder into and then take a small piece of cloth called the patch or wad, put it into the barrel, ram that down, and then you would put the ball, which was just a ball, into the barrel and ram it in. You would then raise the musket, and there was a pan next to the flint. You would pour a small bit of powder into that, lock the flint back, close a small lid on the pan, and then raise the weapon and fire. It would fire by the flint falling, striking a small piece of metal, igniting the powder in the pan, which would follow through a small hole next to the pan and leading into the barrel, which would then ignite the powder inside of the barrel, causing gas expansions, which forced the ball out the end of the barrel. They were smooth bore, which meant that they were very inaccurate and pretty simple to operate, but a lot more complicated than modern stuff. The first issued weapon would be a flintlock musket. Not flintlock, percussion cap musket. During the Civil War, they would use a percussion cap rifle, which was similar to the previous flintlock musket, but instead of using a piece of flint striking steel, it would use a small piece of metal filled with, I believe it was mercury, or I forget what it was. I forget the specific chemical, but filled with a chemical which, once struck, would ignite and would force sparks through a small hole leading into the barrel, igniting the powder, forcing the ball out the same way. Loaded the exact same. The difference between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War was the ones during the Civil War had rifling, which is small grooves inside of the barrel, which allows for the ball to spin, creating a gyroscopic effect while it flies, making it go farther and faster and with more accuracy. This would incredibly change the way we fight, because the old style of walking in lines and then firing would not work anymore, as those older rifles had a distance of about 70 yards of accuracy. The newer muskets had, with rifling, allowed for hundreds of yards of accuracy. So they would line up, fire, and instead of getting to your 5 or 6 people hit, entire lines of people would just fall down. Moving past the Civil War, we would move into some more cartridge loading rifles. During the Civil War, there were some used. In fact, there was one account of a battle where they used Sharps rifles. I believe it was actually at Gettysburg, and a small company were able to hold off a much larger battalion because of the ability to fire incredibly quickly. The Sharps rifle was a musket that pretty much musket that had a opening on the top that you would then put a powdered cartridge into, which had a primer at the back, which was the same thing used with the percussion cap rifles. Would put that in, you would close the breech on top, lock, hammer back, hammer would fall, strike a pin that would puncture the cap, causing the same reaction from the cap rifles, which would ignite the powder, sending it out. Same thing, but incredibly much faster because it did not require you to ram the things down the barrel. It would allow incredible technology. Moving past that, we would move into the Springfield 1871, I believe, and that would be the older rifles used during the Civil War, recut and remilled to a breech lock style. They would cut a small portion out of the top and turn that into the breech, which would open and close. That would be used for a long time till you came into bolt action rifles. The original bolt actions were called needle rifles because of the long piece of metal that looked like a long needle. It would function pretty much the same way as the Sharps rifles, using a paper cartridge loaded into the rifle, put into the front, but instead of closing a breech, you would lock a bolt down. I have an example of this. This is a much more modern example this is during World War II. This is a German Kar 98K used during World War II. And this has an internal magazine which can hold 5 rounds. And you can see here, same way with the needle rifle, but decently more complicated. You pull that up, pull it back, close. You would pull it back, load your paper cartridge, and then close it. And on the original Dreyer's needle rifle, you were required to pull back the striker. You manually had to pull it back from the back of the rifle. The trigger would release that, striking a primer percussion cap, igniting it, doing the normal stuff. With the last production Dreyers, it used a automatic cocking of the striker. You would pull the bolt back and it would automatically recock the striker, which is the same for the Kar 98. That would be used till around mid-World War II. We would use bolt-action rifles through the end of World War II, and into modern day we still use them because they have capabilities of firing higher caliber cartridges and are much more accurate because they have fewer moving parts. The Germans had this during World War I and World War II. The Germans had this. We had the Springfield 1903, and the British had the Mark 5, Mark 4. It's called the Smile. That had a larger magazine. I believe it held 10 rounds, but same concept, bolt action, pretty simple, which is why they're very common, very usable. They would use this till World War II. They would use it through World War II. Good rifle, really like this rifle. We would move from the Springfield 1903 to the M1 Garand during World War II. This is the M1 Garand. This was the first gas-operated semi-automatic rifle ever issued to U.S. troops. This is incredibly different from bolt action's previous systems. It uses the expanding gas from the cartridge and the bullet being fired out of the gun to then redirect some of that here. You can see it here. As the gas comes up through here, once it reaches here, it would redirect some of that gas back down this tube to the bolt, locking it back and chambering a new round. Allowed us to have fire a lot faster than a bolt action because you don't need to reload the bolt every single time. Every single trigger pull is one shot. It used 8-round called M-block clips. It fired 30-06, which was the same caliber of the Springfield M1903. It was designed by a Canadian designer, John Garand, I believe, and was, I believe, to be the best U.S. issued rifle of all time. It had no complaints. Amazing weapon. Incredible weapon. The way you would operate it is you take the bolt, it locks back, as you can see. You would take a M-block clip like this, you put it over this, you would put it over the open breech, push it down in, which would which would release the bolt to chamber the first round. This would cause some people to have what is known as Garand thumb by, when the bolt is locked back, if you took the M-block clip and you placed it like this, the bolt would slam forward on your finger, locking your finger up in the front, which would cause a bruise on the thumb. The way to counteract this is to put your hand like this on the charging handle, which would stop it from moving forward and pinching your thumb. Pretty simple. Amazing weapon. I love this weapon. This would have no major design changes at all during its use. Nothing special. It would have several variations, almost, such as the M1 carbine. This uses a similar operation, also gas blowback, but it would use a box magazine that held 20 rounds, I believe, and would have a smaller 30 caliber, same diameter, but smaller cartridge, and smaller casing, less powder. And this would be issued to officers, tankers, and artillerymen, and basically anyone who needed something but was not mainly using a rifle, therefore didn't need the full-length M1. The operation is you take the box mag, insert it into the bottom, just give it a little love tap on the bottom. Because this has live ammunition and I'm obviously not going to chamber around. Pull the bolt back, release it, chambering around. The safety is right here. Pull the trigger, firing around, and continue till you're empty. Very good design, simple. Used in Vietnam, good weapon. Very similar to the M1 Garand. Also, I wanted to mention on the M1 Garand, the safety for the M1 Garand is located right here, and when on, it sticks in the trigger guard, so it's pretty easy to notice. You just flick it forward. Pretty simple. We would use those till the end of World War II. We had some design experiments happening during World War II to add a box magazine to the M1 Garand, which would allow for more ammo, and they also wanted a selector switch to allow for fully automatic fire. All that required was, when you have, for semi-automatic, there's the hammer, and when you fire the weapon, you're releasing what's called the sear here. It releases it and allows it to slam forward. Sear would pop back. When the hammer comes back, it relocks, and you just do that every time. Fully automatic just means that when you pull the trigger, the sear holds back and stays back and allows the bolt to continuously fire. That's all that they needed to do. They would basically take the exact design of the M1 and add a box magazine to it and the selector switch. They would also change it to a .308 caliber instead of a .30-06 caliber. The selector switch was located on the side of the M1. Right here. And you would take it and push it in and turn it like a key. It was a small metal rod that went down the side of it. It was called the M14. Go down the side of it, and basically all that it would do is there was a small give for the bolt. The bolt could move forward once it was locked into battery a little more. The selector switch would release a small metal bar, allowing the bolt to move very little bit, but that little bit would activate the hammer, releasing the sear, and then firing it. Pretty simple, but very, very effective. The M14 would be used till early Vietnam. It was pretty good because it was on the basis of the M1 Garand, but it had a problem that the .30-06, when in full auto, is hard to control in a personal weapon. It also had problems with low round count, meaning you would blow all your rounds really quickly, which was a problem in Vietnam. They would change to the M16, also known as the AR-15, during Vietnam. This is similar to, but not the exact style of, the M16 used during Vietnam. This is the civilian version, also known as the AR-15. The difference is the military M16 has the full auto selector. This has, right here, see? Safe, and semi. That's all it's left with. The military version just flicks all the way around and allows for full auto fire. The difference between this and the Vietnam style was the foregrip was more triangular, and pretty much it. Besides that, pretty much the same style. This is also a gas blowback operating system. This is chambered in .223, also known as 5.56. Much smaller caliber, much easier to handle and fully automatic. Doesn't blow your face away. The operation for this is insert magazine, into magwell. Give it a lip tap. Make sure it's in. Also, live round, so I won't chamber it around. You pull back the bolt like this. See, it cycles the bolt. And then you can flick the safety off and have fun. These were decent because of their lower caliber, easier to handle. The problem is the 223 is a small round. It's 0.223 inches in diameter. The difference between the 223 and the 30-06 is this. 30-06, 223. The 223 is not good at killing things. It was not well received because of its lack of damage. The 30-06 dealt a lot more damage and was a much more effective round. The give to the 223 is it's obviously a lot lighter, you can carry a lot more of it. You don't need as much size to the magazine. It's a lot lighter, carry much more of it. The problem is you shoot a guy with it, he might not go down. The 30-06 will take him down. This will turn him inside out. This will go through him. It's very good at penetration, but not good at damage. The basically solution for this was just to say we don't need to kill him, we just need to take him out so that somebody has to help him to not, and then we take out more than one guy by shooting one guy. The problem is a lot of the enemies we were fighting, like in Vietnam and Afghanistan, are not traditional military units and therefore don't care as much about leaving one soldier. So you waste a lot of ammunition. You can carry a lot more of it, but if it's a lot less useful, then there's no point. We still use 223 because it's just a really pretty overall good round, but not very effective. And when you use 223, you have to be much more accurate where you put it if you're wanting to guarantee that you take down whatever you're shooting at. For funsies, I have something else here. I have an AK-47. Specifically an AK-47 because it's chambered in 7.62 by 39. Banana mags, really cool. This is the weapon that has been used by a lot of our enemies, like a lot. Vietnam, Russia, Afghanistan. This was designed by Nikolai Kalashnikov. It's called the, I forget the Russian word for the A, but it's like automatic Kalashnikov is AK. The thing that makes it so effective and why we have encountered it so many times is because it's cheap to produce and stupid simple. Also gas operated. The difference is the AR and the M1 have the gas tube on the bottom. This has the gas tube on the top. I would disassemble this, but I don't really want to have to put it back together. This uses a, like I said, 7.62 by 39 round, which I'll show you. As you will see,
lot beefier than 223. A lot beefier. Great round. It was designed, I believe, over 100 years ago, maybe. Not exactly sure, don't remember the exact dates. But it is an old design which has been used and abused throughout the years. Amazing rifle. I love this rifle. The AR is a great rifle, but the problem with it is it's a lot more sensitive of a system than the AK. You can take an AR and you'll stuff it in the dirt and it'll jam. You can take an AK, bury it in the sand, wait a year, come back, load a mag and fire. Operating system. Cool thing about the AK, you have to take the mag and rock it in. You can see it comes out and then you rock it. It's rocked in. See on the front right here, that locks in and you just rock it up. You then take it, it's on the left or right hand side. So if you fire right handed and you don't want to take your right hand off, you can reach up around it, cycle. Amazing weapon. Super simple. It has full semi and safety. Obviously civilian version, so safe and semi. But yeah, pretty simple. Besides that, where to today? We still use the AR style of weapon system. It is no longer Vietnam style. It has had some changes, mostly to, give me fits. Mostly cosmetic, not much has changed with the basic design style. Still uses 223. Very customizable. That's one of the benefits of using an AR. Very customizable. Do whatever you want with it. AK is a lot less customizable. They do have AK-12s, which has more rail space and is a much more modern system. More customizability there. But we still use the AR today, and it's been a great weapon system. We are going into the development of a new weapon system made by Sig Sauer called the XM7. It is similar to the AR style, which was designed by Eugene Stoner and produced by Armalite for the first couple of years, which is why you get the AR Armalite rifle. It's similar to that, but uses a different caliber. There are several different styles of AR. So there's the AR-15 or the M16, which uses 223, 556. There's the AR-10, which uses 308, which is the same thing that the M14 was chambered in. This new weapon, I believe, is chambered in 308, or 227 is also one of the possibilities. It has 227 and a 308 version. It's a cool weapon, but it's has some problems. It's very big. It's a lot heavier than the AR. The AR weighs about 8 pounds fully loaded, and the XM7 weighs about 10 pounds fully loaded, which doesn't seem like much, but when you have to hike it around all day, it's a lot. So yeah, that's about it. Till today, we have changed and changed. War never stops. We will always have wars. We will always have new technology to fight those new wars differently. You can see with things like the Civil War, with adding rifling to the weapons, it changed the way we fought. We couldn't walk in lines anymore. We had to change it. It also introduced sharpshooters, which they had before, but were way more effective after the introduction of rifling. During Vietnam, we have changed the way we fight a little bit because of the introduction of full auto. We've had it during World War II with the M3 grease gun, which was a smaller stamped gun, which was made just to be mass produced. It was a couple of cents for production. But it changed the way we fight. War changes the way we fight. War changes our technology as we strive to be better at killing the other person, and with new technology to fight the war, changes the way we fight wars. They interact. They will always coincide. So, I'm interested to see what the future holds with the XM7, as the new scope for the XM7 is big in technology. It has the ability to pinpoint a target for you. If you point it at something and you see a dude in the target, in the sight, it will mark him, and it will tell everybody else in your squad that he's there. The scopes communicate with each other, which is really cool, but very complicated. So when you get into war and you get all dirty, you'll see how it does. So that's about it. Oh, one more thing. Talked a lot about caliber. Caliber is just the designation of the casing. Well, not the casing, the cartridge. The caliber is designated by the width of the bullet. This is the bullet. This is the casing. Bullet, casing. The width of the bullet is what determines the caliber. So you say there's two ways to determine the caliber as well. There's metric and imperial. 223 and 556. 223 is the imperial version, and 556 is the metric version. The difference is 223 is 0.223 inches, and 556 is 5.56 millimeters. The only difference. So they're interchangeable pretty much. There's slight differences, I believe, with the size of the casing. So I think 223 allows for more powder. So more burn. Besides that, there's 762 by 51, which is 0.308 inches. 762 by 51. 7.62 by 51 millimeters. That's about it. 30 caliber, 0.30 inches. You'll hit 30-06. I'm not sure what the .6 is. I probably should look into that, but that's about it. Not much else. I did want to show. You hear a lot of the time clip when referred to weapons and magazines. So the difference is magazine. It is a completely, it holds all the rounds. The rounds go directly from this into the chamber, into the, to be fired. This holds them all. This is what they will stay in forever until you fire. This is a clip. Take the round, and you push it into the clip. There we go. So this is a clip. That's a mag. They're used interchangeably a lot of the time, but they're not. They're complete differences. This is a Kar 98 clip, which I'll show you. Clips are often used with bolt-action rifles to help reload them faster. So you take it and you put it over the open chamber like this, and then you push the rounds in. This little metal piece stays out. You push the rounds in by themselves, and this clip stays out. You can then put the bolt back in and continue firing. That's the big difference. That's my presentation. Hope you learned something. That's about it. Bye.